As you know, we are in the month of February, and February is a very special month. It's a month known as Black History Month, and that is a month that we use to celebrate and remember some very special people that did some very big, important things that helped shape the history of our country and the way that we live today. A few weeks ago, we learned about Dr. Martin Luther King, which is one of those very special people, and we talked about the different things that he did for this country. So today, I'm going to talk to you about a different person. This little girl right here is named Ruby Bridges, and she is not a little girl anymore, but when this story took place, she was. So I want you to go ahead and listen to this story so you can learn about Ruby Bridges. The title of this book is Ruby Bridges Goes to School, and it's my true story. Now, Ruby Bridges wrote this book, and this is a true story of things that she actually experienced when she went to school. Ruby Bridges Goes to School, My True Story, by Ruby Bridges. A long time ago, some people thought that black people and white people should not be friends. In some places, black people were not allowed to live in the same neighborhoods as white people. In some places, black people were not allowed to eat in the same restaurants as white people. What you see here, friends, are photographs. These are real photographs of pictures that somebody took. And you can see that right here are some signs, and it says up at the top that this is for colored people. And then down here, he has got signs saying whites only, saying that you're only allowed to go into his restaurant if your skin is white skin, like the color of mine. And in some places, black children and white children could not go to the same schools. This is called segregation. The United States government said segregation is wrong. People should live where they want. People should eat where they want. Children should go to school where they want. My name is Ruby Bridges. In 1960, I went to kindergarten in a school for black children. I liked my school. I liked my teacher. I liked my friends. But there was a school for white children even closer to my house than the school for black children. It was the William Frantz Elementary School. The government said Ruby Bridges should be allowed to go to the William Frantz School. In 1961, I was in first grade. My mother took me to the Frantz School. Marshals came with us to make sure that we were safe. Some people did not want a black child to go to the white school. They stood near the school. They yelled at me to go away. And you can see in this photograph, these people are not very happy. Some of them are yelling. Some of them have signs. They're upset that Ruby is going to go to this school. Parents took their children out of the school. I was alone with my teacher, Mrs. Henry. I loved Mrs. Henry, and Mrs. Henry loved me. I was a very good student. I learned math. I learned how to read, but I wished the children would come back. Months and months passed. Then one day, children began to come back to school. At last, I had friends to play with. I was very, very happy. You can see Ruby right here at recess with some of her friends. Many people have read about me in newspapers and books. A famous writer, John Steinbeck, wrote a book about me. He wrote that I was very brave. A First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, wrote a letter to me. The letter told me that I was a good American. Norman Rockwell was an artist who painted a picture of me. The painting has become very famous. This right here is a photograph of the picture that she's talking about that Norman Rockwell did of her. And it shows you right here, this is a picture of Ruby Bridges being walked into school on her first day with the U.S. Marshals that were there to keep her safe. Now, I am grown up. I am married. I have children. One day, Mrs. Henry and I were both asked to be on a TV show. That was the first time we had seen each other in many years. Now we talk to each other often. And this is Mrs. Henry, and there is Ruby Bridges. Now black children and white children can go to the same schools. I like to visit schools. I tell my story to children. I tell children that black people and white people can be friends. And most important, I tell children to be kind to each other. Okay, friends, if you would like to hear more about Ruby Bridges, I have another book that I am going to read, and I will post that on the resources slide.